What's up, YouTube? Pittsburgh DJ Marty. Today I'm going to talk about why I got baptized. As most of you know, I lived through the stay alive till 75 generation thing. I became disillusioned at 14 when nothing happened, and I kept on going, still nothing. So, I never got baptized at that point. Now, a little bit of background information that everybody needs to know for those of you who don't know it. My mother had cancer for 10 years, and she eventually passed away in 1981. Now, the big thing is, I loved my mother with all my heart. When you see your mother sick all the time and she's still strong and she's still doing things, still meeting the Jehovah's Witness requirements of hours and going to the meetings and everything like that, she really becomes more than just a mother. She becomes this sort of iconic person you just look at and go, wow, she's an amazing person. I had the privilege and the misfortune of having to go to doctor's appointments with her, go to chemotherapy treatments with her, things like that. It brought me closer to my mother. I think my mother knew me better than anybody else in the whole wide world can ever know me. But I also knew that my mom was very strong, you know. I saw her at her weakest, and I also saw her at her strongest, and oftentimes those two times happened at the same time. Okay, now let's get back on subject. My mom being sick obviously had an influence on me. There were several times when she'd go into, 6 months of recovery, nothing would happen, and then all of a sudden something would happen. It would show up, from her breast to her lymph nodes, to her other lymph nodes, to her lungs, that sort of thing. I remember in 1979 when I graduated from high school, moved on, got a job. I remember at one point my mom saying that she was proud of me, and the only thing that she wished she could see before she went away was me be baptized. Well, you see where this is going. Bingo. Guess what happened? Next assembly. Studied the book, did the questions, all that stuff. Next assembly, I got baptized. But you know what? I didn't feel any different. I felt the same. The doubt was still there. The questions were still there. The uncertainty was still there. Just one of those things where I did it to keep my mom happy. And I now realize that even if the Jehovah's Witnesses were the one and only true religion, that wouldn't have been enough to get me into the paradise earth, because I did it for the wrong reasons. It's one of those things that a lot of kids in the world, their moms go, oh my goodness, I wish you would be a doctor, and they wind up being a doctor. Or the parents would go, the father will go, I wish you would follow in my footsteps, so they go into the same trade as their mom or their dad. I, however, wasn't afforded those kind of opportunities, and the only real big thing I could give to her is to have been baptized. Did I take it serious? Not at all. Ever. No. Because I went into it with doubts. After she passed away, I got married, moved out, and still, nothing. My marriage broke up, and I was told, oh, even though she left you, it's your fault. You're going to be punished for this. You got to wait around to see if she ever changes. She never did. My ex-wife never did. I don't blame her for that. I don't. Unlike her, though, that was a turning point in my life where I said, look, I'm going to live the rest of my life mandated by an organization's rules that because I got dunked in water, they can take everything away from me? No. From that point on, I just went on living my life, doing what I wanted to do, and eventually, as a lot of you can relate to, it gets back to the elders, and, well, I wound up disfellowshipped. It's sort of one of those things where I had no reason to even worry about it. Went to one meeting, it was useless. I could see that the decision was made. They had already decided that this was how it was going to be, that I was wrong, that because I fell in love with somebody else and slept with them, that I had to be punished for it. Even though we weren't, I had to be punished for it. I, however, my big question was, I didn't leave her. So, to me, she's as equally responsible as I was. Guess what happened to her? Nothing. Not a thing. So, not a surprise. Not a shocker. Just wanted to do this real quick. I'm going to do one about actually being disfellowshipped and tell my story a little bit about that. So, until the next time, I hope you all stay safe and peace.